Our next task today is doing an asymmetric line design for a thank you for the guest speaker of an NHS luncheon. Line, the vital visual path that directs eye movement through a composition. Rhythm, visual movement through a design usually achieved through repetition and gradation. One of the easiest elements and principles to execute is that of line. And line is just the easy way to start and bring an eye through one point of the arrangement all the way through another. And that's easily achieved by taking, if you have line flowers such as snapdragons or liatris or even lisianthus or whatever with long stems, that works great because you get these really stagnant but strong lines. When you don't have it, you can actually use your carnations or your roses and use the stem as that line and create that same visual impact. And that is what we're going to do here. And we'll already have our oasis locked into our container. And we're going to start by sort of figuring out which way to do it. And around the container, I like sort of working on a diagonal of the oasis so you actually have more surface area. And what I'm going to do is start my line here and then come this way. Since it's asymmetric, we want heavier on the left, a little less on the right, so it's not exactly the same. So we'll start by inserting at an angle where we're going to start creating our line. And then we want to go ahead and clean off the stems, because by cleaning off the stems, we've created this beautiful line. And with carnations, they sort of have a mind of their own. So you have to sort of work with the actual stem itself to see which way it's deciding to bend. So the next one we want to have, and this is where your repetition comes in too, you're starting to create a pattern and a stepping stone where you're saying, here's two of your carnations right there, these beautiful orange carnations that have so much color variance. And then everything, we're pulling it back a little bit more so that what we're creating is like a step to it. And then you want to create it so it's falling back. We just don't want a one-sided arrangement. We want to make sure that there's some balance. So what you want to do on the other side is come back and sort of go in between where you're still creating the line, but you're able to create a little bit more of a balance in between the two. And then you can go ahead and make it so that there's a depth as well in this. And pull that down. But none of them are at the exact same height, but you do see that line going vertically or actually diagonally at that point. So then we're going to come and create on the other side a line that is coming out a little bit more there. And again, always, if you don't be as afraid to use your lip. And we want to pull it out. And just like you're doing in proportions where you're going 1.5 times, so this container here, you go 1.5. We're going to be able to extend out a little bit more because we're trying to make a little bit of an emphasis. We also want to do it horizontally, so you're looking at this direction as well. So we want to pull that in a little bit so that we're creating this, at this point, a little bit of a static line, but it's also giving you that strong linear approach. So now that you've created the line, what we have to do is start covering our mechanics. And there's a lot of different techniques that you can do to start covering your lines. You can either use, what I like to do if you have a lot of time on your hands, is taking your salal leaves or your lemon leaves and then taking their actual, the stems from the salal leaves and using them as a pin. So you take the stem, cut it at an angle, and then you pin it so that you can take this and you take it here, and these are all natural mechanics, but you're covering the oasis, and you're literally covering it by just going ahead and doing what we call a leaf treatment. So this way you're able to make this function for you And it adds to your creativity points. And then also you're creating these little repetition marks too that you see the little natural stems. Because a lot of times you're not going to get wire, and the stems will not cut into the leaves. The leaves naturally accept them so that you're able to sit there. And then, like I said, you're able to cover your mechanics as well. Get a couple extra points as long as you cut it at a pretty sharp angle, and then you're actually able to create some interest to anything. But again, what you're trying to do too is hide that tape that we have around anchored so that you can't see that. And then we have this, and trying to find a way to get that there too. In order also to anchor your lines, and this is what the great thing is about a focal point, is you put in flowers into an area that anchors your left side from your right side and secures visually your arrangement. And since we're going in a more fall type arrangement, we're going with the yellows, the analogous yellows and reds, and a little bit of the burgundies. So there you'll have your focal area, you're covering it up. We also have your hydrangeas. Now, hydrangeas do last very well in foam as long as you can insert them well into there. So we're, again, covering or basing the bottom. We also have some lovely burgundy chrysanthemums that we can go ahead and insert into the bottom. And when you're doing it with you want the darker colors on the bottom, and then you want the lighter colors going out. It gives it a balance effect. So then we can add some more a little bit down here. We're basing it to cover the mechanics and to make the arrangement look secure, because we do have these long arms that are going out. In order to bring some of the yellow color out, I suggest, as like everybody, to try to pull it away if you want, that you can add a few of the little cushion pomps or button pomps, and they just sort of help carry that yellow out a tad bit, and we're not having three separate entities. Everything starts forming a unity together. And again, following the same thing, if you're going to do the line, make sure the line is there. And then if you want to do the same thing on the back, where you're taking your salal leaves and you're actually pinning them, then you can go around the bottom and just cover. And again, this is not taking that long to actually pin what you're doing, so you're covering your mechanics in a great way. The basing with the burgundy cushions, and then putting it in there to make it the color pull down, and it's still pulling out the burgundy and the Gaelics. And then for that a little bit more dynamic line, because I think sometimes we just have this, I love using, and a lot of people do, like your sticks. And this is stuff you can just harvest from maybe the greenhouse, maybe you have some on your farm, but you try to find, like this is curly willow, try to find that curvature that will sort of match your line, extend it out a little bit, but give it a little bit more movement and rhythm. So we have our line arrangement that we can go ahead and do asymmetrically with our focal point for your thank you gift.